Hello, everybody. Welcome and thank you very much for joining us. Sorry, it's been a bit chaotic here today and someone's just brought me in a glass of water. I've literally been back-to-back meetings and I wanted to get on live because I know we said we were going live at a certain time. So here I am, but bear with me 1 second, please. Banging. Right, banging. I don't know where that came from. Okay, so hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Andy Hooper from Global Ecommerce Experts. And we're here to successfully expand e-commerce brands into Europe. Today, we're going to be talking about how you can increase your sales by 80%. And we're going to be talking through a number of strategies we use now with our clients to enable that to happen. I'm just going to wait a moment or two, just as as we're going live. Just talk about the system we're using. If you want to leave a message, send a comment. Let us know you're there. That would be amazing. Please say hi. Hi, everybody. Please feel free to do that and to say hi in the comments. And at the end, there will be room for questions. But if you've got a question as we're going through, just fire them away because quite often I do these webinars and listen to them and I've got a question. And actually, by the time I get to the questions at the end, I've forgotten what that is. So please don't feel that you need to wait to the end to do that. You can put a comment in, that'll come through. And if I can answer it there and then, I definitely will. Or I might wait to the end and do that slightly after. So hello, everyone. And for those that are there, welcome to join us. I'm Andy from Global Ecommerce Experts, and we're going to be starting very, very soon. I've got notifications popping up absolutely everywhere because things are going off. It's strange, isn't it? When you go live and do these things, you've got so many devices that are all connected that you've got your phones going, your iPads going, your watches going. I apologize. Yes, I've got a load of Apple products and they're just all going one by one. And just like, I need to turn all this off. Apple, if you're listening, please, can we just have a mute button that just does it across all devices? If anyone knows how to do that, please let me know. Anyway, I've waffled on for a couple of minutes already. I think it's time that we actually got on with what we said we come here to do. And that is to successfully talk about how you can increase your sales by 80%. So welcome. My name's Andy Hooper, as I've said. I'm the CEO here at Global Ecommerce Experts. We've successfully expanded e-commerce brands into Europe. Now, I've been involved in e-commerce for, I think we've been really precise now and said 14 years. I first got into e-commerce. Like many people, I started on the outer rims of e-commerce and started flipping things on eBay. I'd buy something, I'd sell it, I'd sell stuff from home. I'd buy stuff in a supermarket and then sell it for more on eBay. Then I started doing that on Amazon and doing some arbitrage. Then I'd buy some stock from China and started flipping things on Amazon. I'd buy, my first one was these little silicone watches that I was buying for, I think, about 20 pence each and selling for about £8 on Amazon, and that was my first introduction to the e-commerce world and I guess how I started that journey. And ever since then, I've been doing a lot of different things. I'm a typical entrepreneur. I've done lots of different jobs or had businesses in various different niches throughout the last 15 years, if you like. But I always circle back to, I was always involved in e-commerce in one form or another. We've been successfully expanding brands since 2016, and I've always been a coach. So, even if I go back to one of my first ever job, paid job per hour, if you like, rather than a news round or selling sweets at school, was more around coaching people. I've been a water sports instructor all my life, teaching sailing, canoeing, windsurfing, and those sort of sports. So I'm really invested in coaching people, businesses, on what they can do to really find out where they are and what they need to do to succeed to get to the next level. And I guess that's where my e-commerce and my coaching came together to essentially create Global Ecommerce Experts. We're currently working with around 2,000 sellers. It increases every month, and we've successfully expanded them sellers just like you. Okay, that's enough about me. I just want to talk about who this presentation, webinar, podcast, whatever it ends up being, regurgitated to after. Because I think it's really important that if you're listening right now and you don't need to be listening, then please move on so you don't need to listen and no need to waste your time, because I think it's really important that we value your time as much as you value ours, I guess, along that journey. So number one, it's really for e-commerce brands. It's for people selling in e-commerce and they work in their current home market. Those for looking to increase their turnover by at least 80% without any new products. Because quite often people say to us, we've plateaued in our current market. We can't sell any more than what we're currently doing, and we need to expand that brand to other parts of the world. We don't want to buy any more or create any more new products. How can we do that? Can we help people with wanting a bigger increase when they get to their exit? Damn right we can. Can we think about who is it for? People that want to protect their brand worldwide. Because what happens is typically is you're selling a product, and if you're doing that really, really successfully, that catches the eyes of people. Anyone that knows and done a lot of research or built their own brand and know what happens is that you create a new product, and for the first 5 years, you start to see that incremental growth year on year. But what happens is when you get to about 5 years and different products range in different ways, and e-commerce fast tracks that in many ways, is that you hit a plateau because the competitors come. Other people see what you're doing and track that. Well, that's all very well if you're dealing in one market, but actually, if you're buying that product from China, if someone sees that successful and you're selling that in the US market, for example, what they're going to do is, hey, that's selling well there. Let's rebrand that. Let's private label that. Let's make a small tweak and let's sell that in the UK, in Europe, in Japan, in Australia, in Canada. So it's more about protecting the brand worldwide as well. And it's people that want to make sure they're protecting that brand. And I think that's really, really important as you're developing a business. You're thinking about the long-term gain. Because when we start talking about exits, which are hugely popular right now for e-commerce brands, it's about making sure you've got a brand that's protected as much as anything else. And I think that's really, really important. Who else is it for? I think the brands who are doing at least over £500,000 in their home market, this is where it really, really hits home. If you're doing 50,000 e-commerce sales in your home market, nowhere else, is this going to be for you? Probably not, in all honesty. So you need to think about growing in your current market before you start building and growing from there. All right, great. So you know who I am. You know who this is for. Let's start thinking about what that looks like, because having worked with over 2,000 sellers now, what we've really been able to do is work and understand what the problems are for e-commerce sellers. There's a huge amount of opportunities. If you want to increase your sales, there's lots of opportunities in order to do that. You can create new products. You can definitely do that. You can create new products and put them in the market you're currently in. Definitely, 100%. Takes a huge amount of investment to create a new product, and you don't know whether that product's going to be a success or not. Actually, the number of products that are a success and not is out there, and I think you need to consider whether that's an opportunity. Other opportunities, expanding to new markets, definitely. Going on new marketplaces in your current home market, definitely. There's all of these opportunities that are available to you in order to increase revenue, specifically on this. And we can talk about profit in a second part after. You've got to work out what's going to be right for your brand. What is the best and right thing based on, your culture, the brand itself, locations where it's currently selling, where else could it sell? Does it work in other markets? Does it work on other marketplaces? Lots of different things to consider around that. For lots of clients, one of the things is an expansion is a logical reason for some of the reasons we've already mentioned. It's about having that logical reason to expand into a new market. Seems it's a minefield. You're currently based, let's say you're currently selling in the States. You understand that market. Sorry, I've got a camera and I'm putting my arms out like you're in front of me, right? You've got your market. You know that. You know the compliance of the product. You know the compliance for your business. You know that. You know and understand the logistics of that business. You know and understand Amazon. You know, understand eBay, whatever market, again, that you're on. And I think it's really important that when you start moving to other places, that control that you understand loosens a little bit. And that creates a lot of confusion, a lot of misunderstanding, or just a lot of nerves. So I think it's really key to make sure that, that process is demythed somewhere. You're also unsure the scale of the opportunity because, it's like, when you say, okay, I want to create a new product and I want to sell this product. You do all the research, you understand the market, you go into it, you invest, you build the product, you do the labels, you do the advertising, you get the product and you get it on the marketplace and it doesn't sell, right? Because sometimes it doesn't matter how much research, how much information, how much passion you go into it with, sometimes that product just doesn't work. All right. So understanding the scale of opportunity, that's exactly the same with taking your current product, in all honesty, and expanding it to a new market. I've literally been on the call with someone today, looking at how we can help them to solve some of the issues they've got. They started with other people. They've now come to us. They're looking for some support. The reality is that one of the products they've got that's their biggest seller in the States doesn't work selling in Europe because the size configurations are different. So the fundamental research that should have happened was, will this product sell in these countries? Yes or no? Like, you've got to understand the scale of that opportunity before you go into it. So you've got to think about there's a problem there to understand those things and actually get right. Now, 3 core next things you need to consider, right? When you're looking to increase your sales and then move to a new market potentially, there's a whole load of compliance. The thought of regulation in another continent is mind-boggling for a lot of people. What do I need to do to get my business compliant? What do I need to get my product compliant? What are things that might pop up that I don't know about? What regulations are changing? All of these things for the compliance of the product are actually critical to understand. And if you're not involved in that and don't understand that, actually, that can become really, really confusing because it doesn't matter how many times you Google a set thing. When you're not based in that region, one, you need a VPN to get in that region to do that. But secondly, you just don't know what you're looking for. If you're looking to go into Germany, for example, do you know the words in German? As a great example. If you're actually going from the US into the UK, do you understand what the words are? We've all been in an elevator. Well, we go in a lift in the UK. We wear trousers. We don't wear pants. We wear pants underneath our trousers. There's lots of things that we need to consider around there. Logistics is a nightmare worldwide. The logistics of having stock locally becomes also thought-provoking. If you are currently on the level of seller you are, you might be working for 3PL in the States where your biggest market is, but you might be building that out of your garage and shipping directly into FBA in the States. In the Europe, it's not quite the same with that. How do you do those sort of things? Where do you ship from? How do you ship in? What are the differences with customs? What are the regulations you need to consider? Again, there's a whole load of things you need to consider with your logistics to get right. And the last thing is running the marketplaces themselves. Which marketplace is the right marketplace? Do you have people available that understand the European marketplaces? Is Amazon the best one? Is eBay the right one? Is OnBuy the right one? Is CD Discount, Bowl, Otto, Real, Etsy, Wowcher, Wayfair? The list goes on. Which is the right ones for you and what works best for you? So understanding that, again, can seem really confusing because what you don't want to do is, I launched into Europe. I've started a new expansion. I've done this and nothing sold. It could be because your product's on the wrong marketplace. It could be literally as simple as that. It doesn't mean your product won't sell in that location. It's about making sure you understand these things first. So really the problems that people are facing when they're looking to increase sales is understanding the opportunity, making sure it's the right fit for your brand, and then choosing the right route. Is creating new products and bringing them into your current marketplace the right thing? It may well be yes. On the other side, it might be the expansion of the current products into a new market might be a better fit. So let me give you as we go through this, I'm going to give you a couple of client stories that'll help you to think about where on what you might do. So here's a client story. One of our clients, they've been with us for 4 or 5 years now. It's hard to remember exactly. Actually, I'm just looking at the data and it's telling me they launched in 2018. Read the slides, Andy. So, when they first got to us, their sales had actually plateaued in the market. Their main market was the US. Their sales had plateaued, and they were selling both on their website, on a Shopify store, and on mainly Amazon, from memory. They decided that because they plateaued, they thought it'd be a great idea. They got a promotion from Amazon in order to expand, which worked really, really well. And they launched into the UK, and then they moved on into Germany and the rest into 2019. They launched their website mid 2018-19. I think it's hard to remember exactly when in that period, but they did. Now, what happens is that as they were building their brand, our idea of success, to give you an understanding right here, right now, of, bear in mind, we said we're here to successfully expand e-commerce brands into Europe. That's what we do, right? You might be thinking at this stage, it's easier to create a new product. Well, just carry on listening. That's all I'm going to say. Our target is to get people to 80% of their sales if they're in the US market, right? That's our target. That's our internal metric. Now, depending on you as a seller, or depending whether you do that between 12 and 36 months. Every client is different. Now, obviously, if you're doing 100 million, that's going to take slightly longer. If you're doing 1 million, it's going to be a little bit quicker. Obviously, makes perfect sense. You know how long it took you to get to where you are now in the US. So, there's obviously some fast track that can be available because you've got the experience, you've got the knowledge, you've got the reviews that you can bring across as well. And I think that's really, really important. You can bring those across. That really helps build that brand. So this client got to 80% in 21 months. 80% of their US sales in 21 months, I think, is a really, really great metric that actually works really, really well for them. So that was brilliant. So that's one client. Now, let me just talk to you about the EU market, because I'm leading you down a process here that basically says Europe's frigging awesome. Okay. I know that because we do that for our clients all the time. But actually, what we've really got to get to is helping you to understand why that is. And that's what I'm trying and hopefully will achieve with this. So how is the EU market different to the US, for example? Well, look, there's 550 million people in Europe. That compares to 360 million in the US, broadly. Yeah, I appreciate I might be out slightly, but I'm giving you broad numbers here. But, it's within 10%. That 550 million people have access to your products in Europe. There's 28 countries. The downside to it being 28 countries is that there's 28 languages. So that creates some complications. Amazon is not in 28 countries. Well, actually, that's a lie. It's in 28 countries, but it doesn't have a specific marketplace in every single one of those. So when we start thinking about the opportunity, it's not always a direct Amazon route. Amazon is one of the strategies we would implement in order to successfully expand you. But there are other options that you should consider. In Europe, the most popular online marketplaces are Amazon and eBay, without any shadow of a doubt. There's a whole load of stats in there that I'm not going to go through. You can read those for yourself. But really, what you're focusing on is that there's 550 million, there's 28 countries, and you can get your products in those hands of those people. Are there countries that are bigger for selling online than others? Totally there are. UK, Germany, by far the biggest out of all of them. So there you two, when we start talking about launch strategies on where you should start, if Germany and the UK are the biggest two markets for e-commerce, well, it makes perfect sense to start there, doesn't it? I mean, just Google, top e-commerce market countries, and UK and Germany are going to come in the top 5. Like, fact. So maybe top 6 now, because you get China, US, UK, Japan, Germany, maybe one other. I should know those off the top of my head. Apologies, and I'll make sure I do next time. But that gives you an idea. Yeah. Okay, moving on from that. So, look, what happens if you don't expand your brand to new markets? And I think this is really important because, if you don't expand, someone else is going to steal your product and sell it for you. Fact. Like, I see all day, every day, people expanding with products that are other people's products. That's fact. That's what happens. People are taking your stock, not necessarily, let me rephrase that because that's wrong. They're not taking your stock. They're ripping off your brand, ripping off your product, creating a new brand and selling it. Fact. You've seen it. They do it in the country that you're selling already, let alone doing it in another marketplace. Look, Chinese manufacturers are going to do it. They do it all day long. We know they do it. Others are going to sell your products and potentially brands, which means you're going to lose 80% of additional revenue. This is two sides. This is one about you gaining 80% of revenue, but actually, if you do it after somebody else has already done it, actually that becomes a lot harder. So doing it now is absolutely the key thing. The second, one of the key pieces about this is someone could disrupt your brand. If you've got a huge amount of momentum and huge amount of following, what you don't want is somebody to come in with a cheap knockoff. They're going to get a cheap knockoff and they're going to build influence by selling your product in other parts of the world that you aren't doing that. And I think that's really, really key. Could even be worse. The brand could be destroyed by a cheap copy product. All right. If they sell the product in Europe for slightly better products and get more reviews, then they bring it to your home market, all of a sudden you've got competition. So I think there's two sides to this, isn't there? There's one, what are the opportunities and how does that work? The second side is, what happens if you don't do this? Somebody else is going to. And I think we don't want is other people to do that. You need to control your brand. You need to be the ones that are in control of your destiny as much as you feasibly can. One thing that I learned many, many years ago, I had a great CEO that I work for. And this is going back 20 something years, 15 years, 20 years. And his words were, Andy, control the controllables. You can't control, someone ripping off your product and creating a copycat. You can't do anything about that. It doesn't matter how much trademarks you've got, how much legislation, anything you do, someone's going to do it. What you can control is doing it in other markets before they get there. And I think that's really important. It's about controlling what those controllables look like. Okay, there's several ways of doing everything, isn't there? There's always an easy way and there's always a hard way. And depending on where you are and what camp you're in is going to depend on how you do that. So let me talk about the hard way. If you're talking about a typical one of our sellers is a US-based e-commerce seller and they want to expand to Europe. Well, look, the easy way for you to travel to Europe, the hard way for you to travel from the UK, from New York into our warehouse, 10 minutes from the port of Southampton, Mayflower Park, where the Mayflower fathers of the States left and destined for the States left from 10 minutes from here. If you was to swim that's got to be a hard way, right? So the hard way, Benoit Lecomte. Okay, I appreciate it. I've probably done complete injustice to his French name and I apologize. Swam that distance in 1998 and swam it and took 100 days. All right. Now do the maths. He probably took slightly longer than 100 days or he drifted a whole load of that distance. But the bottom line is someone spent 100 days swimming across the Atlantic. Bravo, whatever way you do that. So that's the hard way. So look, the hard way is you doing all this by yourself, working it out all by yourself and solving that. What I would say is we've got a huge amount of content that's available to you to go and work that out. You don't need to work that all out. So I'm going to make that slightly easier straight away by saying, look at our YouTube channel, look at our podcast, Ecommerce Expander Secrets. 2 great places for you to go in order to understand and get the information for free. All right. Are you going to be able to do everything and understand everything? Probably not to the minute detail. But I tell you what, damn right, there's a huge amount of content there that's going to help that with that. So that's the hard way. Yeah. The hard way is doing this all by yourself or trying to work it out. Obviously, there's steps to making that easy, right? And I'm going to talk through a couple of those. And this isn't a sales pitch, by the way. If you want to talk to us about it, I'm going to tell you that at the end, you can talk to us and there's going to be an opportunity for that. I'm just here to establish and tell you what's great and what's amazing. So let me give you another client story. Hardway was a client that had gym flooring, right? Their sales plateaued in the US. They launched in Amazon, similar to the previous example I gave you. They launched full Pan EU, which is Pan-European program where you're registered for VAT in every country. You've got Prime available in every country, but their sales were very, very slow. And after about 3 years, their sales were only at 10% of their US sales, which is a bit pitiful. And it's not particularly inspiring, and it wasn't particularly great. They decided to engage with GE, and they engaged with us about a year ago now. We've then spent the next year trying to really increase their velocity, their sales. Now, we've gone from 10% to 40%. It's great. We've seen 30% increase, which is amazing. But actually, that's nowhere near our target of 80%. And the reason that it's slow is because their sales velocity is crap. We all know that sales velocity from the moment you launch the product is absolutely critical in order to make that product a success. If you don't get that sales velocity, it's an uphill struggle from then. So look, this isn't saying we're amazing because we've not got these guys to 80% yet. What I'm saying is by not using us right from the beginning, it's made life a lot harder. And some of the things here that they've done, like launching full Pan EU in every country, might not always be the right solution for you and the right strategy to grow that brand. It might be, depending on your brand and your strategy, which is going to be different for every single one of you, because it depends on your products, depending on how much you're selling already in your home country or your largest marketplaces country. It's going to depend on what strategy is going to involve. How many reviews have you got on your products that you can expand and utilize? So all of those things come into hand. So look, let me give you a much easier way. A much easier way is going to be by working with us, without any shadow of a doubt. But look, there's different ways of doing these things that I'm going to come on to. And, some of them are going to require an investment and some of them aren't. So it's going to be a case of whether you've got the resource or the funds to make that work. And it's also going to be about which ways are you going to choose, the easy way or the hard way, depending on what investment you've got and what resource you've got, because you can make some of those things easier for you. Now, obviously, the easy way is going to be with us. Of course, we're going to say that, but we're already doing this for thousands of sellers. Let me give you a little bit about Global E-commerce Experts. I've told you a bit about us. I've told you we're here to successfully expand e-commerce brands into Europe. That's what we do. Now, if I give you a bit about our story, I told you I was an e-commerce seller and we were doing things. I've always been a much better person in a service-based industry than I have in a product-based industry. I just enjoy it more. It's fact. I prefer working services rather than products. I don't know what it is. It's just the way I'm wired and what I prefer. I get a much bigger kick about seeing my clients succeed than I do in selling a product. And when you start thinking back and looking back to what we talked about right at the beginning, coming back to my coaching days, I want to coach people, I want to develop, I want to see people develop and nurture their business and individually and see them grow. And I guess that's why I've always been much better at the service-based side of things. Now, based on that, I'm a bit of a problem solver. I'm an entrepreneur. I like to solve problems. I guess I always had, in the past, a shiny object syndrome. The great news about that is that because I'm a problem solver and shiny object syndrome, what we've managed to do here at GE is actually solve the problems our clients have, because we started off seeing the problem that e-commerce sellers were having. They wanted to expand to Europe, and Europe legislation changed where basically all marketplaces needed to have a VAT number for anyone out of region. Happened in 2016. We saw the opportunity. We saw the problem. We solved it. So we solved that problem. But then what happened is, as we were working with our clients, they were saying, oh, Andy, I've got a problem because I need to do Amazon removals and I've got nowhere to store my products. Or I need to bring a shipment into a warehouse and then ship it on. So, okay, brilliant. Let's create a warehouse and solve that problem for our clients. Then it was, bear in mind, I was already selling products on Amazon, that actually we created an account management process. So we then started working with clients. Andy, It's all very well expanding to Europe, but I haven't got time to run the store as well. Okay, no problem. We can run that for you. So we run that for them. Then it was a case of, Andy, we running into a problem with compliance. So, okay, so we need to look at product compliance, label compliance. Okay, solve that. Then responsible person came about, market surveillance regulation, solved that problem. And over the years, basically what we've done, every hurdle that someone's put in the way, we've absolutely smashed down. Now, the advantage of that is we've done that all in-house, or we've acquired businesses to make that happen. Because I fundamentally believe in order for you to be a success, you need that process to be as slick and as easy as possible and to reduce your costs. One of the way of reducing your costs is about making sure that when you're going through the process, you're not dealing with 20 agencies and therefore, or 20 service providers. Therefore, you've got 20 members of staff being dealt with in different ways, or one person's dealing with 20 service providers. It never seemed right to me. So what we've been doing is working really, really hard to get that all under one roof. So now, doesn't matter where your product is in the world and how much product you want to ship, we can basically take it from where it is, we can airship it, we can train it, we can sea freight it, all the way to our facilities in the UK and Netherlands. We've got facilities across Europe and across the UK in order to fulfill for you. We can get stock into FBA. We can go direct to consumer with all the products. We can make sure your product's compliant, your business compliant. I go on and on and on. Basically, in a nutshell, we created a turnkey solution to solve all your problems, to make it easy. All of the content of everything we do and all the problems we solve is online, free for you to access. No problems. Feel free, if you lack investment, but you've got time, to go and watch every single YouTube video that we've put out, listen to every podcast. You're going to gain a huge amount of insight to do that. Our YouTube channel, I looked the other day, not necessarily for this, but out of interest, has got 153 videos. The average time of those videos is 46 minutes. So, there's broadly 120 hours of content out there for you to be able to go and look at, learn, and be able to help you to expand. Please, if you've got the time, but you don't have the investment, please go and listen to every single one of those to work out what's going to be the best route to solve those problems. Are we going to give you every strategy that's going to be right for your brand? No, probably not. The reason? We don't know your brand and we can't predict that. So, are there strategies in there for different brands? Damn right there are, but it's not going to be the one for your brand. All right. It's just not, because it's not what every expansion is slightly different. Is it going to give you the broad understanding? Damn right. Go do it. Make it happen. Okay. Let's give you another story. So we got a client, fast growing product in their home market, US. They were starting to see thousands and thousands and thousands of sales in their home market. And it was fast growing. They wanted to protect their brand. They wanted to make sure their product was available to people around the world. And what they decided is they wanted to reach a global audience as fast as possible. So one of the things we do is what we call a golden ticket. For all those who want to be Willy Wonka, you can meet Willy Wonka. He's in our office. He's called Ricky Hooker. He's our general manager. I'm only joking. I can see, for those of you who have done these sort of things before, you can see people in the boxes below. And the marketing lady that organizes all these very, very well, she's looking around laughing at Ricky as we speak, which is great because he doesn't even know right now. Anyway, you'll get to meet our Willy Wonka at some point. I'm only joking. Anyway, we've done these golden tickets. What does that mean? Look, you can have all the service all under one banner. Really, really simple and easy. If you want it, you can pick individual services. Doesn't matter to us. Our goal is to successfully expand your brand. If we're doing one touch or everything, it's irrelevant. They launched in 2021 in Europe. We did all their compliance, all of their logistics, and all their account management. We've got them to 80% of their US sales in 13 months. Now, for me, that's epic. That's absolutely amazing. And that's exactly where, if you're listening to this, right, this is where we want to be. Like, in all honesty, do I fundamentally believe that in order for us to get you to 80% of your sales, is the quickest way of doing that is by us doing everything? 100%. 100%, that's the best way of doing it. But not everyone's got the investment to do all of that. They might be a halfway house on the understanding that it might take longer. That's just reality. That's life. So that's an easy way. So let me just give you a broad here. You having worked with 2,000 sellers, right? Or over 2,000 sellers now, what that's enabled us to do, bear in mind, we have all these data points. So we get data points from our sellers on their business VAT. We get it from running their Amazon accounts. We get it from doing their shipping. We get it from doing their market research. We get it from doing all these different things. All of these insights that we have gained over the years, having worked with thousands of sellers, has enabled us to create a shortcut, if you like, to create a pattern process to make that work, right? And look, let me give you the basics of that 7-step process. So in order to expand successfully, there's 7 steps. Out of each one of these steps, there's probably another 10 pieces in order for you to do those. But let's just break them down to really, really quick 7 steps so you understand them. Now, we call this the 14-day expansion pathway because we can expand your brand dependent on a huge number of factors. But if you say to me, Andy, I want to be selling my brand in Europe in 14 days, I can make that happen without any shadow of a doubt. It will vary depending on the marketplace you want to sell on, the products, the compliance of the products, and a whole load of different things. But if you've got a product, our aim is to get you in 14 days selling. Fact. So the 7 steps are these. Bit of market research. Make sure your product's viable and would work for the market. How much could you sell? There's a light touch and an in-depth touch. Depends on you. It's going to depend on what you do. You can do a light touch, see if other people are selling similar. Okay, people are selling something similar. Will it work? Like yes or no. How much sales could we expect? Yes or no. There's a much bigger piece of which marketplace is right. Which country should I launch in first? How much will I do? Is the size right? Let's take bed linen as a great example. The size of bed linen in Europe is different to the bed linen size in the US. All right. So there's things you need to factor in order to do bed linen as an example. So market research is a key piece. Compliance, making sure your business is compliant and making sure your products are compliant. I could spend a whole week talking about both of those. Once we've got all of that thing sorted, we need to make sure we're choosing the right marketplace and launching, making sure translations are done. The next thing, 3PL or logistics. You need to ship your products. You need to store your products. You need to fulfill your products from a warehouse in region that can fulfill buffer stock into the marketplace or ship direct to the consumer, depending on the option that it takes you. You need to promote your product. You need to spend some money on advertising your product in order for it to expand, in order for it to be a success, and get sales velocity that we talked about earlier. You're going to need to take that brand and develop it a little bit further. Do you need to be on a website? Are there other marketplaces you need to be on? Which translations do you need to be on? I can think of and probably name 40 additional marketplaces you could be on tomorrow, which will gain you additional sales. If you're currently an Amazon seller, is Amazon the biggest marketplace in every country? The answer is no. So when you're looking at a strategy in order to get to 80%, sometimes that is not always on the marketplace you're currently on, and you might need to diverge onto other marketplaces in order to get to that. But the advantage of working with us is that we know what they are. We know what those solutions are. We've been there and we've done it, and we can support you. And the last thing is scaling, growth. How do you scale that business, grow that business? And if it's right for you, exit that. So they're the 7 steps. We can do this all for you. Really, really straightforward and simple. Look, there's 2 types of people. I'm going to be really honest. There's 2 people on this call. There's going to be people that just don't have the money to invest in paying us to do the services. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. In that case, you should go and listen to all the free content. I've got no bones about that. We create the content for you to go and listen to help support you to expand without any shadow of a doubt. When you're ready and you need some help and support, we're here for you to guide you and help you, and hopefully for you to utilize some of our services as and when you're ready. If you're on the other side, you don't have the time, you don't have the resources, but you've got the money to invest, then we'd be the right people for you. You know, what does it cost to expand into Europe? Well, look, let me give you some broad figures. Let me help you right now so you're not thinking, how much is it going to cost? A good entry strategy based on the level of seller, there's probably 4 different levels. There's probably broadly $6,000 to $10,000, give or take, to expand. You've then got a $10,000 to $20,000 level of approach. You've then got a $20,000 to $50,000 approach, and then you've got the Golden Globe, which is $100,000. Like there's a range completely in there, depending on the strategy that's right for your business and the level of investment and success of where you are right now. If you're doing 100 million, actually 100 grand is probably the right package. If you're doing $1 million, a £10,000 package is probably the best way of doing it. Somewhere in there is going to vary depending on you and your brand. It's really, really important though, that actually we are not here to sell you everything to make you expand. We're here to successfully expand e-commerce brands into Europe. That means we're going to choose the right strategy for you at the right time. And I think that bit's the really important bit. It's the right thing at the right time. So our clients, when they come through, when they take more than 3 services, get what we call a growth manager. Our growth manager's target is to get our clients to 80% of their US sales. That's their target. If they go and sell you everything, you're not going to have any money for your products or advertising. So let me give you an example. If you are a VAT company, the only thing you can sell is VAT. If you are a shipping company, all you can sell is shipping. If you are an e-commerce account management service, consultancy, agency, all you can sell is that. Because we have a much big holistic approach, we're not here about selling, we're here to successfully expand you, right? So if we go and sell you, I don't know, pan-EU VAT, which is one of the things that we saw in one of those others, yeah, that could easily be £5,000 to £8,000, right? If we do that, we're taking money away from you to be able to invest in your products or ads to your product. Okay. Now, for some brands, actually registering all those countries and getting Prime in next day and shipping container loads of stock might be the right option. Not for everyone. It might be launching in the UK, Netherlands, and Germany is actually the right approach. So it depends on you. It's going to depend on the strategy that's right for you. But you need to consider all of those things in order to make that a success. Okay, we're coming to the end. I'm going to open up for a few questions. I've probably gone on for 15 minutes longer than I anticipated. For that, I apologize. But if you've got some questions, please fire them away, because I think it's really important that we answer some of those. I'm going to give you in a moment. While they come up, I'm going to give you the details to contact us, so you don't have to listen to all the questions. Here you can see all of our details. You can contact me direct. I'll probably, in all honesty, send it on to our success team, who will look after you without any shadow of doubt. So I'm just going to look at some of the questions coming through. They're just coming through now. So I'm going to have a little look. So bear with me one moment. I'm going to use my phone because it's easier. Let me just have a drink while I'm preparing for that. Okay. Let's see a couple of these questions come in. So first question. Andy, what sort of compliance do I need to consider for my products? Okay, great question. So with your product compliance, there's 3 things. I went like that. That'd be 6, wouldn't it? There's 3 things you need to consider. Number 1, what are the regulations your product falls under? Number 2, is your product compliant with those regulations? Number 3, is your label of the product compliant with both the product, in line with the product, and the regulations? So look, I could spend a whole hour talking about that specific piece, but the 3 things to consider: what are the regulations your product falls under? Is the product compliant with the regulations? And thirdly, is your label compliant with the regulations? They're the 3 things you need to consider. Yes, we can support and help with that. Can you do that? I'm sure there's a huge amount of resource available online to help you with that. God, we've done blogs, YouTube videos, and even podcasts on it. So feel free to go use that information and find out a little bit more. Okay, next question. Andy, where do I need to, that's the next question. Sorry. What is VAT? Great question. So VAT is value added tax. If you're based in the US, think of it as sales tax. Similar thing, done slightly different, but basically across Europe, there's a different rate across all the different countries, a bit like Nexus. It's different in every state. It's a different way of doing it per country, just like Nexus. All right. So but basically it's sales VAT. You need to pay, and this is answering the next question, you need to pay VAT in the country you're selling the product or fulfilling the product. There's a whole load of regulations around that. But the bottom line is, if you're selling a product in a country, the country that's selling that product, who you're selling that product in, the government would like a little kickback tax for selling that product in that country. Fact. All right. So sometimes that's just how it rolls, right? The government wants to thank you for you selling the product in their country. Tax. So that's the way to look at VAT. I can't see any more comments coming in. That's covered a good few. If you're watching this later and you're not watching it live, you can always put a comment below, whether it be on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, on Facebook or LinkedIn, and I or one of the team will be able to respond to that and support and answer any questions. Thank you very much for your time. Hugely valuable. Hopefully that's been a good use of your time. Remember, successfully expanding to Europe means 80% of your sales in your home market. That's what you're testing. That's what you're doing. We're proven at doing that. If you're doing from the US coming across, that's where we win. We're a turnkey solution that helps you to do that all in one. Don't have the money, but got the time? Go utilize our content. Go make that happen. Ready to make an investment and make that happen? Give us a call. See how we can support. There's a free ebook that talks through our 7 steps in a bit more detail. If you go to our website, it's on the slide there /webinar. You'll be able to download our guide on how to successfully do that. Thank you very much for your time. It's been amazing having you. Hopefully you've been able to stay along and stay with us for that whole period. And I'll see you on the next time. This was Andy from Global E-Commerce Experts, successfully expanding e-commerce brands into Europe. Have a great day.